Well, here we go. Inferno, the first battlefield of this best of three. And we're getting things kicked off, although it may not be live just yet, as I can see Chris J's chilling at spawn.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be waiting a little while longer. Everybody just taking a quick breather. They got us all excited for that, and then everything just slows down to a grinding halt. But hopefully we'll be back into things very shortly, and gives us a little bit more of an opportunity to talk about the new boy Zeta. And it's an interesting switch as well, because with Bentech gone, they lose their cooler. So it's going to be, oh, they're thinking about it.
It seems we are actually live after all. Maybe just a bit of confusion from Chris J at spawn there, but they are playing as though this is live. So they're going to be rummaging up on Banana. 3 players there from mousesports. Still 2 smokes and flashes, so TYLOO can try and sell a fake, especially considering they have Freeman over on the A side of the map.
He's thinking about the lurk, but 4 players just going to barrel in towards this B bomb site and try and take it clean. Frozen still alive towards the back boxes, and now they swarm into the site. Somebody in Zeta, though, able to find a frag apiece, leaving Karrigan all on his own. Nothing he can do. A little bit of a team kill coming in as well, but the 2 players trying to rotate in as the bomb goes down in a 4 versus 2. And how was that so clean for TYLOO?
That is a question that mousesports and Karrigan will be asking themselves, but this round isn't over just yet. Rop's still alive alongside Voxic. Plenty of ability between the 2 of them. Rops has already chipped in, but his compadre has gone down in amongst the ruckus, and he's going to be a labored tapping duel against somebody who uses the USP against the CTs. And TYLOO do claim first blood in the best of 3.
I think importantly as well, somebody shows up immediately and gets on the board, and Zeta as well finds himself an early frag as they push into that B bomb site. And it was a 3-man hold from mousesports. They had 3 players who rotated into the site, and they just got absolutely demolished. So for TYLOO, a little bit of a confidence builder, perhaps coming off the back of their boot camp, of course, as mousesports go immediately for the force buy, fairly common on the CT side at this point. Plenty of utility to back it up as well, and 5 deagles across the board.
Definitely not lacking in the ability to push TYLOO out of this round, but TYLOO, 2 assault rifles to their name, and they're playing this one slowly, not giving anything away just yet. Starting to make a move up Banana now, 3 players strong, but the bomb is dropped back towards T-spawn. Declaration of intent, they're not going to go aggressive anytime soon.
Understandable as well. Just send a few of those SMGs out, get the information, try and make sure the CT side aren't getting too aggressive and can pull off a stack and try and put 4 players towards a bomb site you're heading towards. So Banana control taken. Now they'll slowly explore the apps through Summer and Freeman, just clearing all of their angles. TYLOO, time on their side with 1:05 still left on the clock. Bomb still all the way back in spawn, so absolutely 0 risks being taken as they look to meticulously clear their way onto one of these bomb sites.
Slow and steady wins the race as far as TYLOO are concerned. They're still not entirely sure what mousesports have in store, but now they know. Voxic delivering the deagle first class into the head of Summer. I know you have a few points to raise about him. We'll get back to that in a moment as Freeman has to just try and traipse over middle. The bomb is still dropped at T-step. Someone's going to have to go back and pick that up, and it will be Freeman now. So it looks like they've completely banked all in. They've put their chips on the table, Wolfie, and they say B is the site to go.
Frozen and Karrigan with a huge job to do that. 1D has just forced TYLOO in towards this B-bomb site, and now the play comes through. Frozen with the spam, able to get the first, coming out with the second deagle headshot from the coffins as well. And TYLOO, they just don't look like they know where to go now. Freeman, an attacker, bailing out of the play with 10 seconds left on the clock. The round surely is over as Freeman even going to go down to Rops at the very death of things. An attacker, nothing he can do with the AK-47. All 5 players on the CT side stay alive with just deagles. They dismantle TYLOO.
That's a whole bunch of weaponry that's going to trade hands. A huge economic boom for mousesports. TYLOO, oh, they've got to twiddle their thumbs and figure out what to do from here. They may even force buy. They're in that very awkward position of being around the $1,400 mark, where you can't even feasibly save and get a buy in the next round. So you may as well just have another crack at it now. This does put them down to just deagles and 1 flash on their T side. Not even a single smoke to play with.
How do you look to get any map control with no utility on Inferno? Somebody going to be completely locked out of Banana with the mollies and the smokes, and that's going to give mousesports even more information to work with as Summer is desperate to get something going, but teammates falling around him, somebody taken out by Karrigan in the early engagement, and immediately a 5-on-4 for the T side to deal with. They are looking to group up towards this A bomb site as attacker does manage to take down Chris J, and Voxic, with just a deagle to his name, is going to back off, switch out to the MAC-10 to try and take things a little bit up close and personal.
The 2 teams clashing heads, but deciding to back out of there are TYLOO. Frozen by himself on B, taking a more forward position with his UMP. He's just hopping for information for the time being, allowing the rest of his team to go towards A. Carrigan, the linchpin of the rotation, thinking twice about this, because now Frozen's seen them. Smoke goes out, he's going to be chased down, goes in for the repeat with the UMP, but comes out completely empty-handed. Did significant damage to Summer, but that's not enough to stop them from getting onto the bomb and getting this planted down, and Carrigan needs to wait for the rest of his team to arrive. He actually goes out there prematurely, does drop Zeta in the process, goes back in for seconds, and for thirds, Carrigan leading by example with the AK-47, and only Summer remains with a measly 20 HP. And it won't be happening for him. It was looking like it slipped away from mousesports, but they are going to get the defuse.
TYLOO looked like they had half an opportunity there, but Carrigan showing up in a big way. The fragging IGL, a triple on the AK-47, just to lock things down and just to restore a little bit of order to mousesports CT side. It's going to put them in a great position. Again, that economy just not there for TYLOO, as once more they're going to be looking at Deagles and a couple of upgraded pistols, all they can really afford. And it's mousesports who will come out better from the early engagements, just starting to build their half. It feels like they've got 3 rifles on the board. Now Chris J still with just a Deagle in his hands, and Woxic sticking around with the MAC-10 as they look to farm a little more cash off of what ends up to be just 4 Deagles for the T side.
I suppose if you were trying to look at the optimistic, positive sides, they didn't have much better of a buy last round. They nearly made it stick. This is something that may be reverbing in the back of mousesports' minds as well, collectively. This time, Carrigan is over with Frozen to start things off on Banana, but it's almost an identical play. He smokes down to the bottom of Banana. Frozen stays in position, this time with the M4 as opposed to the UMP. Chris J being pressured, being pivoted on, but he comes out swinging with the MAC-10. Plenty of damage has been done. Voxic missing all the bullets, and Summer and somebody both chipping in with 2, but this is where the superior firepower will rise to the top alongside mousesports for a 3-1 lead.
Carrigan helping himself to all the eco frags, isn't he? 7 in quick succession, the quad kill on the spray down, and it was kind of unfortunate that Chris J and Woxic, with so little firepower to work with, ended up being the first players to take the contact there. It gave a couple of frags to TYLOO, helps them build up a little bit more bank, but it's still not great as they do go for their first buy on Inferno. Just the 1 Krieg being brought out as well. A decent bank of utility to try and find an execute somewhere, but Freeman yet to get himself a single kill on the board as the full buy comes out, and of course Woxic immediately gets the AWP into his hands and training down spawn as a fast play towards top Banana comes in. TYLOO looking to up the pace as they're known for, but the counter nades are decent for mousesports. They find a couple of chips of damage. The Molotovs buy them a little bit of time to rotate back towards the bomb site. And now TYLOO just looking to bail out of things, but Carrigan swings and catches somebody in the middle of no man's land. That's an easy frag to find, and once again, mousesports with the man advantage, and TYLOO looking a little bit lost. They're playing very passively, and they're just taking that top Banana control, but they're getting picked apart. Woxic has found another one with Rops, so advanced in the apartments here. Freeman doesn't expect it. He's taken out, and Zeta and Attacker, they've got to try and take this B bomb site all alone in the 5-on-2. They're slowly creeping their way in, but are they going to expect this boosted angle from Carrigan as the push starts to come? They're slowly jiggle peeking every possible angle. Attacker is going to find the first, but the trades are immediate. Frozen, then Woxic, and that's how you hold down 2 bomb sites. mousesports absolutely perfect, just losing the 1 man and really starting to build up that CT economy.
They sure are, while cutting short TYLOO. They are into a position where pistols and not much else will likely be the order of play. Now, I know you wanted to kind of highlight the leadership aspect of TYLOO, and seeing as this round is a half buy, and unexpected. Actually, they're putting more into this than I was expecting. Somebody down to $1,100. I thought this would just be Deagles, not much else.
It looks like they've got a really specific plan to this round, and hopefully Summer's leadership is going to work out as somebody takes the early tag through the floor down to 23 HP, but they've picked up a lot of utility coming into this one, and you did highlight it. Of course, with Bentech gone, they lost their IGL TYLOO, and they've forced Summer almost to become the replacement as they bring in Zeta to give them a little more firepower. And they've boot camped with him for a little while, a couple of weeks at best, and you do wonder, that's such a seismic change for a team to have to deal with, and if the calls are necessarily going to be up to scratch coming into this one. And honestly, this round looks like a pretty good example at the moment. Full utility brought out with just the half buy of pistols, plenty of early damage done, but perhaps still an opportunity to get into this A-bomb site. 3 players in the apartments, and it's going to be Chris J to draw first blood onto somebody straight through the smoke, and Is the plan going to fall apart with a man lost as Woxic finds the second on the AWP, and this half-buy is falling apart at the seams. Woxic looking for more, does take the dink, and Attacker will finally find the frag, but that's all she wrote. Just the one frag from such a heavy investment on TYLOO's side of things. They are going to be able to buy, but is that the right call?
I would say in this kind of a situation with the round loss bonus, they may feel like they have to. They're going to have to turn the tides quickly. They've got max round loss bonus coming up, obviously, on the T side. You can really afford to go in for those full buys that much more than the CT. 2 SGs as well, even though it did get a minor nerf, I suppose, being buffed up by, or nerfed down, I should say, by $300 extra investment. Hasn't really affected the Ts whatsoever. And I love this play from Carrigan. He decides, let's just go straight up and meet the Ts where they live and try and evict them. He does get a kill, more information gathered, but Voxic's also chipped in with a frag. So just keeping TYLOO on their tiptoes, keeping the man advantage in favor of mousesports.
That second frag from Woxic was absolutely crucial. Just gives mousesports that room to breathe and the room to play the CS they want to play. Because you're right, that aggression, not exactly normal to say the least, but Carrigan happy to get aggressive, knowing that the AWP is going to be backing him up. But now the pressure starts to pivot and it's going to head back towards the B-bomb site. Frozen with the smoke and the timing will be able to take down the first, but Summer straight through it will find the refrag, and that's an open B-bomb site as well. Fast rotation starting to come through, but they're not going to catch the bomb. It will be able to make its way across onto the site with Woxic. A huge job to do. Oh, he almost spots out Freeman, but bomb will go down, and a 3v2 retake, in fact, for mousesports to try and contend with.
The post plant is looking very doable on mousesports. They still have a HE, a couple smokes and a couple flashes. TYLOO segregated, opposite sides of the site. Smokes being tossed down into ruins. Chris J now taking the inroads, trying to regain what was once theirs, trying to cultivate the clutch, but Summer says no. Smoked off on the coffins, but he's allowed the opportunity to start to make a move around the side. Meanwhile, his teammate's gone down, and mousesports will be successful with the retake after all. It's a valiant attempt for TYLOO, but they just come up short in the end.
Just not quite able to make it happen, and it looked like there was a little bit of miscommunication. When the first player finds that first frag, you're thinking 2-on-2, great. They've got the B-bomb site on lock. The crossfires are here. They just need to hold their nerve, but 2 quick frags from mousesports, and it all falls apart. And of course, on that maximum loss bonus, as you said, TYLOO, they are going to be able to keep buying into this one, but it's at the sacrifice, right? Somebody's just got one flashbang to his name. The rest of the teammates able to pick up the utility and perhaps compensate, but you've got to wonder, what's the strategy coming into this round? Where do you look to go? Because mousesports at the moment, they are pulling your strings like a puppet master, and Woxic, again, fancies the peak, and that is one hell of a shot to open things up. Zeta goes down, and the new boy is already lost for TYLOO.
He has been lost at sea, and Freeman is capsizing time and time again. Still yet to get a single kill on the board as we move into round 8. Is that sad statistic going to continue, or can he change his fortunes round? Attacker, next player to fall. It's all been mousesports. Remember, TYLOO won the pistol. Since then, one-way traffic, and mousesports barreling down the freeway, out of control. Freeman 007, he has been added to the agent's list. 7-1 mousesports. Can TYLOO feasibly even get back on the board? This is looking so brutal now.
It has to be time for a timeout, right? They have to take a 30-second pause, because after winning that pistol, as you said, everything has gone wrong, and mousesports just look like they're running away with it at this point. So for TYLOO, I think in the next round or so, you have to be taking a timeout, thinking about it. Maybe even use this round as your timeout, right? It's a half buy. You've only got the pistols to work with. Your utility is limited. Just have a discussion. How do you start to pick apart this mousesports defense that is just looking way too strong at the moment and way too confident as well, as Frozen helps himself to a freebie, taking banana control away and taking out Attacker in the process.
Does feel a bit like deja vu. Mousesports take banana control. TYLOO are battered where they stand, and Freeman at least has got on the board. Not that it really matters much. Feels like a drop in the bucket. Mousesports continue to apply the pressure. And yeah, again, TYLOO, they've got a bye coming up. This has got to be the time you call a timeout, surely. There you go.
There we go. They have to do it, right? They're 8-1 down. They know they've lost the lead at the halftime. They know everything is looking just awful for them at the moment. So take this time out, take time to mentally reset, basically start again, go, it's 0-0 now. We can take 6 more rounds. We can come in with a decent half and head onto that CT side, because statistically, TYLOO were always a T-sided team, right? They got aggressive, they went fast and powerful, and they took teams just by surprise, and that hasn't happened so far. And in fact, arguably, mousesports have been taking them by surprise.
Yeah, that Karrigan push down middle has really been the lock and the key of Inferno so far. Completely agree with you. It was always TYLOO's unpredictability that caused so many issues for teams. But again, this is why we go back to what we said earlier. It's a best of 3. Karrigan's had time to fully prepare just for this matchup. So any kind of unpredictable plays, you know he can read off a script from miles away. But let's see if TYLOO are going to change anything. Their timeout comes to a close. As you say, the timeout maybe can start the ball rolling. We just saw on Inferno, Fnatic pull off a sick comeback. So TYLOO have got to take motivation and inspiration from that.
Maybe Zeta on the AWP can be the catalyst as well, as once again, mousesports, they want this banana control. And Karrigan, he's heard the footsteps, but the flash, that's good, and somebody will capitalize. Somebody actually going to find a quick double kill, as Woxic, perhaps a little bit too keen to peek down banana and support his IGL, gets taken out, and now Frozen with a huge job to do. Able to find the first, and the damage is significant onto Attacker, but there's so much support, and Zeta, he wants to get his name back on that board. 1 kill at the moment, and he is going to help himself to a second, taking down Frozen and forcing a full CT rotation as well. mousesports fully gambling on this B bomb site, and with the bomb all the way back in spawn, TYLOO, they've just got to loop around, go back towards A. They've got Summer and Freeman set up for the execute, and the round is theirs.
It really should be theirs. This is their round to lose at this point. I can at least respect, though, that mousesports, after the timeout, still tried their shenanigans. They still tried to mess with the minds of TYLOO by playing in Banana. And you better believe, as this half continues forward, TYLOO are not going to be certain about anything. They're going to have to expend a lot of utility. They're going to have to go for these shoulder peaks, which could move into grenade stacks, could move into being AWP'd from the likes of Woxic, peeking down Banana. So I like that Karrigan is this game of chess. It's his mental game where he's trying to position TYLOO where it gives mousesports the best opportunities to exploit them. So watch for that going forward, even though, as you highlighted, it's a gamble stack on B, it's not going to work out for them, but at least they can save these guns.
Not that they really need to. The cash is so good on that CT side. They are going to be able to buy fully, although I take that back immediately because I've just noticed it's 2 Kriegs.
Yeah.
And you would sell your mother for having 2 Kriegs on the CT side. It's absolutely incredible what this Krieg can do for a CT side. But as you said, Karrigan, he's happy to get aggressive and just put that doubt in TYLOO, which again, I think comes back to Summer being relatively new to this IGLing role. This is the first time he's really had to do it at a big event. And then Karrigan just constantly applying that pressure and making absolutely sure that he can't settle in, right? He can't start calling the calls. He knows because Karrigan's pushing down mid and they're trapping them in spawn, so he can't set himself into the game. And I think that is going to be really important moving forward as TYLOO do get their second round. And I expect we're going to see the same again from mousesports coming into round number 11, just pushing, getting aggressive, and just trying to catch TYLOO off guard.
I suppose another issue for me, and I'm not sure if maybe you know the answer to this, but with Zeta coming in fairly recently around January, I assume he speaks Chinese. I mean, he's South Korean, so does he only speak Korean? Does he speak Chinese? I know that TYLOO have had issues with communication barriers in the past. You mentioned before Ben Tet, they've had other players come in that couldn't all be on the same page. So maybe a bit of a query and a question mark out there as to how Zeta will fall in.
It's an interesting dilemma for a team that has always traditionally been a Chinese roster, right? You lose one player, then you pick someone up who doesn't necessarily speak the language. And what do you do then? Do you try and make Zeta learn Chinese, or do you go to a common middle ground and have sort of mediocre English? As Zeta taken out almost immediately, so we won't find out in this round. Rops gets the second as well onto Summer, and the aggression still coming through from mousesports, not willing to let TYLOO breathe. Frozen gets a third. Banana control is gone. And Freeman and Attacker, again, just left trying to save the situation.
Freeman and Attacker, hot off the back of being successful after their tactical timeout, are backs to the wall and nowhere to run but forward, and that's into Karrigan's arms. He used to be an AWPer in the bygone age, and he will not miss that chance. Attacker has been eradicated, and TYLOO only have Freeman to stand off. A measly 1 kill to his name is not going to be added to. mousesports going to keep that total of rounds to TYLOO just to the 2. And this is starting to get a little bit out of control now.
Out of control train, it really is. And mousesports, you can just feel them growing in confidence as well. As TYLOO, they're just not stringing anything together, and it's very difficult to put it any other way. They've not got that player who's dragging them back into things, who's at least keeping mousesports' economy honest, right? Karrigan is the only player below $10,000, so their buys are assured until the very end of this first half, and that puts them in such a strong position, and it gives you confidence to go for the more aggressive plays, including nade stacks all the way into spawn as somebody takes a couple of tags. And it just gives mousesports this freedom that you don't otherwise find yourselves having. They know their buy is set for the rest of the first half, so why not get aggressive, right? Why not try and find that early frag for your team? And actually, this time they start to fall back a little bit. Frozen happy to hold towards top. Banana, they've taken the control with utility, but not opted to push it, and it has still funneled TYLOO in towards this A bomb site.
Just posturing, pontificating in the apps, waiting for the green light. They have that MAC-10 in the hands of somebody, maybe the first player to dart out and give his life for the cause. mousesports playing more aggressively, actually, not having anyone in pit or on site graveyard. None of these backward positions. Now Chris J, as a result of all the smokes and flashes, going to be starting to make a move around. Still 50 seconds. They may think this could be a potential bait, but at this moment, they're now hearing the footsteps. They're hearing the players drop, and Rops picking up the frag onto somebody lets them know exactly what's coming up, but Rops is going to get caught in transition from the Boiler playing Summer. They still haven't fully committed to the site, but now they're going to go for it. Into the arms of Chris J's SG, and he keeps landing headshots. Only Freeman stands between TYLOO and another round loss. It could be double digits for mousesports. He has to retrieve the bomb, and in the process of doing it, he loses his head. mousesports already in such a commanding position with TYLOO on the back foot once more.
It just fell apart yet again, and that one was just down to fragging power. That was the problem. mousesports just had everything going their way. Chris J comes up with a couple of huge headshots, but I thought it was really interesting to see TYLOO going for the full execute. Summer, as I said, as soon as he was given a little bit of room to breathe by Karrigan, he's called the full-on execute, full utility, and they've actually gotten into a bomb site, which is the first time in a long time they've achieved that. Granted, they don't manage to get anything more from it, but at least they get into a bomb site. The execute comes off well, they get a little bit of map control, and if a couple more frags go the other way there, then perhaps you find yourselves picking up round number 3.
That is often what CS comes down to. It's a matter of millimeters, milliseconds, woulda, shoulda, coulda, but mousesports ultimately have just been that step above, that rung of the ladder above TYLOO, and keeping them submerged for the duration of this map. It's a miss from Karrigan, who, by the way, 14-5 over 100 ADR. Does land the leg shot onto somebody, but not the outright frag. And now with the flashbangs, Frozen has to fall back to the site, allowing the T's to push him. But be careful what you wish for, TYLOO. There is some help from Chris J to be found lurking around. Coffins, Rops actually backs outside the smoke. On the fadeaway, connects the headshot to somebody, which drops the bomb down in an awkward position. Rops now going to be pushing through the Molotov and smoke, relocating to take a more forward angle. And now the situation is pretty much turned. It's TYLOO that have to now try and play a bit more defensively and wait for the oncoming CTs. Voxic shows too much, and he's dealt with by Attacker. And now it's all on Rops. Last seen around Ruins. Can he pull off the 1v2?
Holding his angle, holding his nerve, making absolutely no noise towards Banana, but he can't find anything at all. Attacker with a swift headshot to get TYLOO, round number 3 on the board, and that was much better from TYLOO across the board. They managed to take down Karrigan early, and then they just rush on that play and trade efficiently. That's all they've needed to do, and for the first time it pans out. They managed to get that round, and unfortunately for them, they're going to be coming up against a full buy for the CT side immediately afterwards.
That is the nightmare of allowing mousesports to just run rampage so many rounds. There are no easy gimme rounds from here on out. They're going to have to be beating full purchases on TYLOO. And when you consider that the bulk of mousesports are over 10 frags, it doesn't bode well. However, somebody going to create some light at the end of the tunnel with a headshot delivered with his AK-47.
Able to find something of an opening pick as Frozen again look to try and take that Banana control, but it doesn't quite pan out, and mousesports on the back foot for the first time in a while. Karrigan switching back to the M4A1 as TYLOO, they're still holding on to this Banana control. 3 players looking to re-aggress as Woxic, perhaps thinking about the peak, is just going to hold the angle, wait for somebody to walk into him, and all the timing on this. He spots out Attacker, can't quite find the shot, but on the second time of asking, he will, and he's looking for more. Woxic, the Molotov, will finally dissuade him. Karrigan going to have to stick around behind the sandbags, but TYLOO, they're done with the B-bomb site. They're going to try and head instead back towards A, and there's very little firepower here. Just Rops on the M4A4 to try and hold it down. Sets himself up in a very passive angle to allow Chris J to rotate in, and TYLOO It's not like them, but they're a little bit slow into this bomb site, allowing Karrigan to get one on the backstab, traded immediately by Summer. And 3-on-3 now. How do TYLOO get into any bomb site? Their information is limited. And with Woxic with the AWP towards B, Rops and Chris J on the A bomb site, mousesports, they could be perfectly set to stop this one.
It just seems like death by indecision from TYLOO so many times. They get into these good positions, as you highlight, and then they slow down to a stroll, to a crawl. And mousesports just execute them on the approach time after time. Now the crossfire's been established and there's no hope. There's no way. TYLOO have been thwarted once again. If they just push behind that initial gut instinct from Summer to go for the hit, it would have been Ropsy saying. Maybe Rops pulls the cat out the bag. Maybe he goes crazy and gets a triple spray down. But more than likely, TYLOO get that side.
They had every opportunity to take that round. They were in the perfect position. Everything was panning out for them. They'd found their picks, and it did just feel like they were hesitant to go and hesitant to believe that they could find the frags. They wanted to hold back and wait for an execute, some utility to come over the top. And that's not the TYLOO we know, right? They were always the aggressive team, the big pushers, the ones who just went fast and furious and just relied on themselves. And is this self-doubt starting to creep into TYLOO now that Bentet's gone, one of those big fraggers for this Chinese roster? Is this the self-doubt, and are they just starting to think, maybe we're not going to hit these shots without the utility there to support us?
I hope not, because as you say, they're only here due to Vici's issues with visas, so you've almost got nothing to lose. You're the heavy underdogs. No one's expecting anything of you, especially after the roster changes, so you may as well come out here all guns blazing. Just go for broke, go swinging out, just like Freeman does. It's good to see him pick up the slack. He had such a poor start, but now he is starting to find his way. As our TYLOO, it's a 2-for-1 trade. Chris J closes the door, quite literally, of Boiler in the face of Freeman, and able to start to traverse back towards the site, but he is isolated. He is behind enemy lines now, and nowhere to go but for the jugular, and he's not able to pounce in time. Summer will claim his number. Last round of the half, mousesports going to go for this, have an open and AK to play with.
You couldn't ask for a better retake squad than Frozen and Woxic, as well as bracket controls taken. And how do they look to play this retake? Woxic thinking about the apartments, going to switch out to the AK-47, but Zeta has got Short on lock, and Woxic might be able to keep him out a little while longer with the smokes as they start to use whatever utility they can scavenge to try and get back into this one. Zeta going to be smoked off, has to try and relocate, but over the top of all of them will be able to take out Frozen. Woxic with a 1v3 and AK-47 and nothing he can do. 11-4. TYLOO at least managed to scramble a semblance of control in that first half.
TYLOO start the half with the pistol, they end the half with a win, and the filling was all mousesports. We'll find out if they can get the second pistol after this short commercial break.
I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I call it shots in the man with the plot and we only go bombs away. Ain't no one protecting my mind as a weapon, that's why I'ma dominate. Taking advantage of every second, now I ain't got time to waste. They all tryna sign my name, they want me to sign my name. Counting your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stop till I finish, yeah. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I'm savage, you've been distracted, your best my average, there's a reason for that's a fact. So they snapping back, mad at the fact that I don't have a backup plan, I ain't need that. Outworking everybody when I relax, so I ain't tripping about none of y'all feedback. Heard that, wonder when I'm gonna peak at. And that's why you count your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stop till I finish, yeah. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the
A rough, turbulent half for TYLOO at least ended and begun with victory. They're going to have to do more of the same if they want any hope here on Inferno. mousesports, they look prolific there, Wolfie. They were in just a different class.
It just looked all too easy for them. Everybody showing up. Karrigan, the IGL, leading the way with a 99 ADR. And the stats can't be argued with. Nobody went positive for TYLOO, but it's a question of can they hold their own on the CT side as mousesports looking to up the pace very early on, but somebody with the fadeaway will be able to open things up onto Chris J, and it's actually just slowed them down and made them rethink this pincer. Bomb going to make its way back through the library and look to reapply the pressure onto Freeman and Attacker, but Attacker with a quick headshot, able to take down Rops, and this is good for TYLOO so far. Attacker with another, and Freeman finds one more. Woxic all on his own on the bomb site, absolutely trapped in, and that is more like it from TYLOO. The aim of the individuals just showing through, and it almost looks too easy. It looks like a completely different team as Freeman finishes things off, and it's near enough flawless for TYLOO.
I don't think they could have asked for anything better. I mean, Freeman lost a bit of health, that's it. Like, if you're going to mark that, it's an A+, right? Just an A+ round. And this is one of the win conditions for TYLOO. We always say this. Individually, these guys are very talented. Can they land their shots? It really comes down to that, because tactically, they're pretty inept.
Yeah, it really is. They are just the AIM squad personified, right? They just need to hit everything, and they do in the pistols, so they win in stunning fashion as well. Just everybody looks incredibly crisp, and it's going to give them a bit of a platform to build onto as they do go for the buy, and of course, Mouse go for the force into round number 2. Without the bomb plant, though, that T-sided utility, very scarce indeed. And interestingly, Summer looking to emulate Chris J here as he picks himself up the MP7, and mousesports look for a little bit of banana control.
Pushing up there with the 2 smokes. One can go CT and coffins. You'd expect if they do fully fledge behind this B hit. They're also sending out Rops and Chris J. And as the scouts through middle can try and look for some information, maybe cause an over-rotation, but Karrigan dropping somebody. That is going to be a weapon trading hands, and it's a UMP, which can shred through armor. That is not insignificant. Plus, it forces Zeta to go round for the rotation. This effectively stacks it a 2-2 formation. And mousesports looking like maybe there's going to be another twist in the back of TYLOO. Maybe history will repeat itself. Remember, they won the first pistol, then instantly lost, and lost 8 rounds in a row.
Firepower starting to come through, though. Attacker with a quick double before he's traded out. The M4A4 making it work. Finally, Frozen able to take him down, but with the majority of firepower over towards this A bomb site, it looked like TYLOO were going to have the hold, and indeed, mousesports just looking to recover what they can as they loop around through A long, and limited map control to work with. Frozen and Woxic thinking about where they want to go with this one. Freeman using one of his own smokes to give himself some room to breathe, as Woxic should be able to get this bomb down in the 3-on-2. And if there were 2 players you'd want, the firepower you want to try and pull off this clutch, it is Woxic, and it is Frozen up on top of the graveyard looking for the shot, but Summer rips his head clean off, and Woxic on the deagle needing a 1v3, finds the first, knows Freeman's position, but there's still the unknown factor. Zeta looking to make the rotation. Woxic onto the UMP, gets the second, and Zeta in the 1v1. Woxic needs needs the headshot, and he'll get it as well. Woxic with the 1v3, and the A bomb site is held strong by mousesports, and that is exactly what TYLOO didn't need.
The catalyst of TYLOO's demise of history has repeated itself. Lightning has struck twice. And you feel like that was the last lifeline that's just been cut away and floats into the nether for TYLOO. It's hard to see how they'll come back from that. That was their hope.
That was everything. That was their buy. That was all they had to work with. They'd won the pistol. They'd made something of it, and they perhaps had an opportunity to start stringing some rounds together as well. Just put a little bit of pressure on mousesports, but instead, Woxic comes up huge with a 1v3, and now, once again, TYLOO on the back foot. Nice nades to take Chris J down to 20 HP, and the CZ of somebody desperate to capitalize, finding so much damage, but nothing he can do as the reload has to come in, and Karrigan capitalizes. 5-on-4 again for mousesports, although Frozen and Chris J both very low on HP as Karrigan looking to do it all alone. We'll find the second onto Summer, and he has been great at picking up these pistol frags so far. Zeta just spraying through like crazy. Woxic takes down Chris J in the chaos, but the frags are still going mousesports' way. Very little health, but they look like they're set to find round number 13.
Yeah, because attacker also very little health. No ordnance whatsoever to speak of. So, you know, if he has a HE or something, maybe he can just throw it in the perfect position. Maybe he can pull off the dozier. Not going to be happening here. I think he's going to be more than happy just to save one to his CZ, his Kevlar, his smoke. It gives him something at least to play with. Maybe he can try and have a look after the bomb detonation to see if he can find a stray weapon somewhere that's been blown into his path. But it's basically feeding off scraps. In terms of the round, it is done. mousesports will have a 13-5 lead. It was close. It was chaotic. But again, they got the job done.
And again, TYLOO just not quite able to hit their shots. It felt like there was a couple of CZ sprays there where you felt like that just had to be a headshot, right? They had to find the frag, and perhaps that would have slowed down mousesports because they just barreled into that B bomb site after finding the initial pick because the reload has to come through on the CZ, and it just all starts to fall apart around that, and TYLOO at 13-5 down with no economy to speak of. It's going to be attacker with a CZ who has to find something, perhaps try and scavenge one of these SMGs or a rifle away from the T side of mousesports and give yourselves something to work with to stop mousesports from just running over you in map 1.
mousesports certainly picking up the pace in their bulldozer, and TYLOO trying their best to just build some foundations. Attacker needs to be that man, as we said, saving the CZ and the Kevlar. Other than that, it is full USPs. Nothing at all has been invested into this round. That it's more of a slaughter. Karrigan with 2, Robson, Chris J picking up the pieces, and somebody is going to be rotating around. If he's not careful, Frozen will get him in the back with the MAC-10, and it's looking like that's exactly what's about to happen. Although, he's gone Speedway, so maybe he was the player that's going to get caught after all. Indeed, he shall. Nicely done by somebody. It is kind of sad when we're trying to hype up the fact that he's got a kill with a USP when they're still going to lose the round, they're 14-5 behind. It's been that kind of game though, Wolfie.
It's one of those ones where you've got to pick any shred of hope out of it, and any slight frag that comes the way of TYLOO, you've got to hype it up and you've got to give them something, because at the moment, nothing is going their way, right? 2 more rounds for mousesports to take map number 1, and you just worry for TYLOO at this point. They are going to be able to get the buy. It's going to be 5 M4s, but look at the utility again, which is such an integral part of Inferno. When you can't pick up a lot of utility, you don't win rounds on the CT side.
It really is as simple as that. Only smokes, no incendiaries, which are a huge part of that puzzle that you're painting beautifully. As Karrigan tagged down in Banana, he's going to be throwing a grenade of his own. Somebody stands tall, does deliver the fatal blow, and no one's there to counteract either or avenge Karrigan. So it's a bit of a slip-up. Maybe that's one way back in for TYLOO if mousesports start to get a bit complacent. Take them lightly.
You do worry for TYLOO if that's the only way they're getting back into this, is Karrigan starts making mistakes and players start falling. But Frozen's going to wander his way in. Somebody with a nade out gets caught in no man's land, and that's an easy frag. That's going to loop into CT. Summer at least able to find one in response, gets tagged by the AWP of Woxic, and he's got to try and stay alive, but nothing he can do. Woxic with the wallbang, and the rotation's looking to be cut out by Rops as he's going to go straight through the smoke and hope that he catches a timing. We saw this in the last game as well, but Hats couldn't quite find it. Frozen grabs the first on the Krieg, and at range, he's just looking to take all the advantages he can get over these M4s. Spots out the second player. Rops not quite able to find the backstab, so still a 2-on-2, but with Woxic on that AWP, trained in towards CT, and just the one smoke left for the CT side. How do they get into this one? Woxic with the first, and the last man alive, Attacker, trades 1-for-1, spots out Frozen, but can't quite find it. mousesports will have map point. And don't forget, this is the map pick of TYLOO.
It is, depressingly. It is their choice of map, Wolfie. I'm really trying to clutch at straws here for positives, but at the end of the day, it's a 15-5, and TYLOO won both pistols.
Yeah, I'm not making it easy for you either, am I?
No, I mean, you've got to be honest, right? At the end of the day, mousesports, we came into this game, we even discussed this before we went live. We're like, look, TYLOO heavy underdogs. They're probably going to get battered. They're probably going to get absolutely ravaged. That's precisely what's happened so far.
And mousesports, worryingly, have made it look quite easy, right? They've just torn TYLOO apart, and their T side is always going to be very impressive against TYLOO. As Attacker are actually able to get aggressive and find the first onto Rops, but the T side have just swarmed all around them. They've gone straight past the CT defense and into this A bomb site. So Freeman with a huge job to do. Nothing he can find. Attacker desperate to get aggressive, but Chris J will help himself to a second. And the CT side, you saw what they were trying to get done with the aggression, but they had nobody there to cover their backs. So mousesports get a free bomb site. And at 15-5, TYLOO, they've got to try and go for this one, but Frozen is already in position to cut it out. He'll get the spray down onto the first. Zeta at least able to trade on that scout, but still a 3 versus 2 for somebody in Zeta as the Krieg is recovered. So TYLOO, they're not out of this one yet, but they got to start winning some aim duels as Carrigan takes down somebody, and Zeta's cleaned up. 16-5 the scoreline. And man, oh man, mousesports, they just make it look easy.
Both pistol wins to TYLOO, and mousesports still comfortably get out ahead 16-5, as you said. Blinking, you would have missed that map, but we're going to go to a quick break and allow TYLOO a bit of a detox period, so we'll be right back.